Hey, it's Eric from ESE Prep. Today we're going to go over the first 4 rules for grammar that you need to know on the SAT Writing and Language section. So overall, there's about 20 rules that you need to know, but we're going to go over 4 grammar topics that I think are the most important. And the key thing with this section and any other section is you want to identify what's being tested. So that's 90% of the battle. If you look at a question, you see there's commas, you see there's colons, semicolons, dashes. Well, pretty obvious what they're testing. And oftentimes the first 4 topics that we're talking about today are going to be tested together. So you'll get a question and you'll see a colon or a semicolon and a comma. And you'll have to figure out what to do. Okay, so here's the rules. Okay, first topic is 4 uses of a comma. It's the only topic that has multiple parts to it, but it's the most important topic. So first rule of a comma, first use of a comma, which something for some reason students don't seem to know, is a comma separates an independent clause from a dependent clause. That's the main use of a comma. Okay, independent clause is a complete thought. It's a full sentence. A dependent clause, not a full sentence. Okay, incomplete thought. And that's what a comma does. Basically, a comma separates out extra information. The dependent clause is extra information. Okay, second use of a comma is a list of 3 items: running, comma, jumping, comma, and skipping. Okay, so list of 3 items, independent clause from a dependent clause. Third item is what's called a comma and a fanboys. Fanboys are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Basically coordinating conjunctions. And the comma and the fanboys, essentially what it does is connect 2 independent clauses. I'm going to the beach, comma, but I forgot my sunscreen. Okay. So 2 independent clauses separated by a comma and a fanboys. When you see a comma, but, comma, and, comma, so, and those are usually the most common ones. You don't see the other ones all that often. But you should look at that and go, that's a dead giveaway that I need to look at. Is this a comma and a fanboys? And the test for comma and a fanboys, or the test for just a regular comma, and the test for all of these punctuations is the same. Look to the left of the punctuation, look to the right of the punctuation. What do I have? Do I have an independent clause to the left? Do I have an independent clause to the right? Do I have a dependent clause to the left? Dependent clause to whatever it is? You'll base your decision on what's to the left of the punctuation and what's to the right of the punctuation. Last use of a comma is called an appositive phrase. Mary, comma, the 3rd Queen of England, comma, was a great leader. It's 2 commas in the middle of a sentence, separating out extra information you don't need. I could just say Mary was a great leader. Okay, so your test is to pull out the information in between the 2 commas and see if the sentence still makes sense. Okay. A lot of times that second comma will be towards the end of the sentence and it won't be part of the underlying phrase. So that's something to keep in mind. You need to read the whole sentence, and a lot of times the clue or that second comma will happen later in the sentence. Okay, item number 2, semicolons. Semicolons essentially separate 2 independent clauses. All right, so when you see a semicolon, look to the left, look to the right, see what you got. Independent clause on either side. 99.9% or 99.5% of the time, that's all you need to know. Okay, occasionally there'll be questions where, very rarely you'll see a semicolon and you'll see, full sentence to the left, full sentence to the right, but it might not be the right answer for some other reason. There might be a comma in the wrong place. I've seen that rarely, but it does happen. So, basic rules: look to the left, look to the right, but also check, that everything else makes sense as well. Colons, what you look for is only what's before the colon, independent clause before the colon. Most people say list of items, but that's not really correct. What comes after the colon is arbitrary. Okay, so we only look to see what's before the colon. If we have an independent clause, again, 99.9 or 0.5% of the time, that's all you need to know. Okay, and that's going to be your correct answer if you see an independent clause before the colon. Okay, dash is the last topic we'll talk about today, are very similar, or basically synonymous with parentheses. Basically, again, separating out information you don't need, similar to an appositive phrase, very similar to parentheses. When you have dashes, you need a beginning and end. So typically there's 2 dashes, one in the beginning, one in the end. And it's extra information. It's a descriptive phrase. just like you would put something, extra in parentheses. Occasionally, you will have a dash and a period. So you can end a dash phrase with a period. So also keep that in mind. And again, like the positive phrase, pull the dash phrase out of the sentence, and the sentence should still make sense. So that's an overview of the first 4 topics. There's 20 grammar topics that I think you need to know. But again, key thing is identify what they're testing and then just simply apply the rules. It takes practice, but it's probably the most gameable section we have on the SAT. And for that reason, the scores are generally pretty good. But some people don't need these rules. I've got students who get perfect scores. I ask them, what does a comma do? And they have no idea. So some people are just great at reading and writing, and they know how things look. But for most of us, I think we want to know why something's right. And so this will give you, or why it's wrong. And this will give you definitive reasons to go by, and a pretty relatively easy way to game the test. So good luck, and stay tuned for next lessons.